Few men know how to recognize the hidden signs that reveal the true intimate history of a woman with many partners. And that's a costly mistake. A high body count leaves invisible marks that affect the way she connects, loves, and even respects a relationship. Recognizing these signs can save you from investing your time and emotions into something with no real emotional depth or true commitment. Today, you're going to discover, one by one, the signs that give away how many men have been in her bed. And the fourth sign could change the way you see any woman forever. If this content makes sense to you and could help other men see what lies behind appearances, support this work. Like, share, and comment so this message reaches more people who need to hear it. So get ready, because we're about to start with the most subtle and at the same time, the most dangerous sign of them all. First sign: unusual comfort with physical closeness. A woman with many partners often displays a level of physical closeness so natural and immediate that, to an untrained man, it might look like confidence. In reality, it's one of the most revealing hidden signs of a high body count. She doesn't show that typical hesitation at the start of an involvement, nor the emotional reserve that should protect intimate moments. Instead, everything feels practical, almost rehearsed. It's as if her intimate history has erased any trace of novelty or nervousness, turning intimacy into something mechanical. Men who don't spot this detail often confuse this instant openness with maturity. But those who understand male psychology know true trust is built gradually. When she skips steps, bypassing the natural warming-up phase, it's not accelerated romance. It's a sign she's lived this script many times before. For example, on the very first or second meeting, she might sit close in an intimate way, touch your arm as if a bond already existed, and discuss physical topics with no barriers. Another crucial point: women like this treat physical contact as something casual. There's no gradual build-up, no spark of anticipation before a meaningful touch. It's direct, with no clear emotional boundaries. This behavior comes from repetition, so many times lived that the emotional significance has been diluted. For an observant man, noticing the absence of positive tension is a silent alert about her romantic history. What makes this even riskier is the way she handles the conversation. She talks about physical relationships in an almost clinical tone, without the warmth or vulnerability that reveal genuine involvement. She may recount experiences objectively, but without the emotion that would make them special. It's as if she were describing an ordinary event, not something meant to carry deep significance. This doesn't mean every confident woman in physical contact has a high body count. But when that confidence is paired with a total absence of natural modesty, the picture changes. For a man seeking a long-term partnership, this demands heightened attention. Here, observation is more important than asking. Her actions will tell you far more than her words. And this is exactly where we begin to understand how repeated experiences change the way a woman relates to intimacy. Because when the barrier no longer exists, the emotional connection weakens, opening the door to other behaviors we'll explore next. Second sign: emotional walls always up. When a woman with many partners maintains physical contact but seems emotionally distant, it's one of the clearest hidden signs that intimacy has lost part of its sentimental bond for her. These emotional walls aren't built overnight. They're constructed over repeated experiences where emotional detachment became a defense mechanism. She might laugh, talk, and even be affectionate, but there's always an invisible space you can't cross. An observant man notices this when he shares something deeply personal and receives a response that sounds polite but shallow. She doesn't return the same emotional depth. She doesn't reveal fears, expose insecurities, or share defining experiences that shaped who she is. The interaction feels smooth but shallow. It's as if intimacy were a play she performs well without truly engaging. This directly impacts emotional commitment. In moments that require mutual vulnerability, like solving a problem or dealing with conflict, she can completely shut down, not out of calculated coldness, but because she has trained herself not to get too attached. For her, conflict resolution is often avoidance, not building. Maintaining the relationship demands more emotional energy from the man while she preserves her own. A practical example: during an argument, instead of opening up for a real dialogue, she changes the subject, uses humor to deflect, or simply ends the conversation. This isn't not wanting to fight, it's avoiding emotional exposure. For someone seeking a long-term partnership, this creates a dangerous imbalance because the bond never reaches stability. These emotional barriers also show up in how she handles her past. Questions about previous relationships are met with vague or overly defensive answers. There's no safe space to share vulnerabilities, and this gradually erodes trust. The man who sees this pattern early spares himself from entering a cycle where he gives more than he receives. And most importantly, this distance isn't about you. It's about a repetitive history of broken connections where attachment was replaced by self-protection. The next sign will show how this pattern plays out in her social circle and why it might reveal far more than she realizes. Third sign: a disproportionate male social circle. A woman with many partners often keeps an unusually large number of active male friendships. To the untrained eye, this might seem like a simple social preference. But for those who recognize the hidden signs, it's a powerful indicator of a high body count and even deeper emotional patterns. Many of these friends are not just casual acquaintances. Some have been intimately involved with her or show a clear interest beyond friendship. This pattern isn't about having male colleagues or platonic friends. It's about maintaining bonds that feed constant male validation. Her phone lights up with frequent messages from different men, and when questioned, the response is usually, "They're just friends." However, the tone of conversations, their frequency, and their history suggest these connections function as an emotional safety net, and, in some cases, as backup options if her current relationship fails. Often, this behavior isn't fully conscious. It comes from conditioning, where male attention serves as a gauge of self-worth. The more sources of validation, the more secure she feels. The problem is that this constant need for approval dilutes the focus that should be directed toward one partner, undermining the building of a solid emotional commitment. A practical example: even in a serious relationship, she keeps ongoing conversations with other men, avoids cutting old ties, and resists setting clear emotional boundaries. This lack of limits creates an unstable atmosphere where the partner never knows if he's the priority or just one option among many. This predominantly male circle also reflects a difficulty in forming deep bonds with other women. Female friendships require emotional reciprocity, something she may struggle to offer due to repeated experiences of intimacy and breakups. Surrounding herself with men becomes comfortable because it provides attention without the same emotional demands. And here's a quick pause. If this kind of content is opening your eyes to things you never noticed before, hit the like button now and subscribe, because this is just the beginning. Let's continue. The next sign will show how intimacy can stop being an act of connection and turn into a tool for emotional manipulation. And this is one of the most dangerous signs you could overlook. Fourth sign: closeness as currency. A woman with many partners may, over time, learn to use physical closeness not as a genuine expression of affection, but as currency to get something in return. This is one of the most dangerous hidden signs because it turns intimacy into a bargaining tool, eroding the foundation of trust in any relationship. She doesn't get close just out of desire or connection. She does it because she's identified the perfect moment to secure material gain, avoid an argument, or change the outcome of a decision. This pattern isn't random. It's the result of repeated experiences where she realized physical contact can directly influence male behavior. She might initiate affection when she wants a favor, a gift, or to end a conflict conveniently for her. Conversely, she can withhold affection as a silent punishment, making it clear that the reward will only come when her partner aligns with what she wants. The problem is that this dynamic undermines the emotional depth of the relationship. The man begins to feel manipulated and, over time, starts doubting even genuine moments of affection. Everything seems calculated. This perception is devastating for anyone seeking solid relationship goals because the connection stops being natural and becomes strategic. Practical example: she's extremely affectionate and attentive the night before asking for something significant, like a trip or an expensive item. When this happens repeatedly, the link between affection and self-benefit becomes obvious. For a high-value man, this is a red line because love becomes conditional. From the perspective of male psychology, this manipulation is especially dangerous because it plays on instincts of protection and provision. By using physical attraction as a control tool, she triggers deep emotional responses without offering the same level of emotional commitment. The result is a power game disguised as a relationship. And when intimacy becomes just a transaction, something far greater is lost. The ability to share spontaneous moments with no calculation, no script. And this is exactly where the next sign comes in, revealing a refined skill that can keep any man trapped in a shallow relationship far longer than he realizes. Fifth sign, surgical reading of the male mind. A woman with many partners often develops an unusual skill, reading and manipulating male emotions with almost surgical precision. This is one of the hardest hidden signs to detect, because at first glance, it looks like she simply understands her partner and knows how to please him. But in reality, this ability has often been honed through multiple experiences, testing approaches, observing reactions, and refining methods to maintain control. She knows exactly when to give a compliment to trigger your need for male validation, how to display vulnerability to awaken your protective instinct, and even when to pull back to create insecurity. None of it is random. Every gesture and every word seems carefully placed to provoke a specific response. It's like a silent game in which she's always a few steps ahead. This mastery can make a man feel uniquely special, convinced he's found the perfect partner. But when you look closely, you see that the pattern repeats itself with other men. And here's the critical point. It's not genuine connection, but an effective strategy for keeping interest and power without giving the same level of emotional commitment. Practical example. She notices her partner feels insecure about his physique and strategically offers precise compliments whenever she needs to soften a request or gain an advantage. This tactic doesn't create emotional depth. It creates emotional dependence. For a high-value man, that's an immediate red flag. From a male psychology standpoint, this type of emotional manipulation is especially dangerous because it blends affection with control. Even when suspicious, a man may struggle to walk away because she hits exactly the points that stir his ego and self-confidence. It's a more sophisticated form of closeness as currency, one that's hard to detect even for experienced men. And this exaggerated understanding of the male mind is often accompanied by another factor that reveals even more about her romantic history, the way she handles her own past. That's exactly what we'll address in the next sign, one that might shock you with its clarity and lack of filters. Sixth sign, total lack of shame about the past. A woman with many partners often shows no shame or even a hint of reservation when talking about her romantic history. To some men, this might seem like honesty or a free spirit, but for those who understand the hidden signs, it's a serious warning. The way she handles her past says a lot about her values and how she views emotional commitment. She may openly discuss past relationships, intimate experiences, and even suggest that her high body count is a positive thing. This narrative often comes with justifications, like it was a learning experience, or it was just fun. While everyone has the right to their choices, the point is that normalizing this removes the emotional weight and selectiveness that are essential for building a long-term partnership. Another telling detail is a defensive posture when the topic is questioned. Instead of acknowledging that past experiences can influence the future of a relationship, she may accuse the man of insecurity or having outdated views. This blocks mature conversations about relationship goals and potential value incompatibilities. Practical example. During a date, she casually talks about past adventures, laughing or treating them as light topics. To a high-value man, this signals that she doesn't see exclusivity as a differentiator, just one option among many. This directly affects the potential for building a unique and protected bond. Male psychology shows that, for many men seeking stability and fidelity, a lack of reservation about the past is a red flag. It's not about moral judgment, it's about risk perception. When intimacy is treated as a casual event, emotional investment loses its weight. And often, this posture connects to a pattern of relationships that never last, always short and intense, but without continuity. That's exactly what we'll explore in the final sign, which might just complete the puzzle for you once and for all. Seventh sign, a short and repetitive relationship history. A woman with many partners often has a relationship history made up of short-term connections that follow an almost predictable pattern, intense in the beginning, quickly wearing down, and ending without any real attempt at rebuilding. This is one of the most revealing hidden signs because it shows how repeated cycles of getting involved and detaching erode the ability to create strong, lasting bonds. For the observant man, the story repeats itself. Quick connections with high initial involvement, followed by sudden distance. This means emotional commitment never gets to solidify. The relationship stays stuck in the excitement phase without developing the emotional depth that builds a long-term partnership. This pattern often includes overlapping relationships, where a new connection begins before the previous one has fully ended. Whether conscious or not, the result is the same. No time for reflection, growth, or conflict resolution. As a result, intimacy never becomes solid and the cycle repeats endlessly. Practical example, a man starts dating her, and within days, the involvement feels intense. But 3 months later, there's sudden emotional withdrawal, followed by a breakup. Shortly afterward, she's already with someone new. This behavior indicates that her focus is on novelty and physical attraction, not on building something lasting. From a male psychology perspective, this is a dangerous pattern for anyone seeking stability. A high-value man who recognizes this history understands it's unlikely to change unless she makes a conscious effort to break the cycle. Otherwise, the relationship will always be one step away from being replaced by a more exciting option. This final sign ties all the others together, showing that each behavior, from closeness as currency to constant male validation, forms a pattern. And when a man sees it, he gains the clarity to choose better and protect his relationship goals. Now that you know these 7 hidden signs, the decision is in your hands. From now on, every gesture, every word, and every behavioral pattern will speak louder than any excuse. This isn't about judgment. It's about recognizing whether the woman in front of you has what it takes for true emotional commitment, real depth, and a solid long-term partnership. So I'll ask you, how many of these signs have you seen and ignored? How many times have you let physical attraction lead you, only to realize later the relationship had no future? If the answer is many, now is the time to change. Leave a comment below saying, "I saw this," to show you won't close your eyes anymore to patterns that compromise your relationship goals. Thank you truly for staying with me until the end of this video. That tells me you're committed to your own growth as a high-value man and refuse to settle for less than you deserve. Like this video, share it with a friend who needs to open his eyes, and subscribe to the channel to keep learning about male psychology and strategies for building real relationships. Turn on notifications so you don't miss a thing.